Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining in. We will start this webinar in a minute or so as we wait for the other participants to join in. Thank you for joining in at this point. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining in to this interesting webinar, which is a collaboration between the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce Academy, Microsoft, as well as H1. Today, we're talking about driving organizational efficiency in a hybrid business world. And we have put together an interesting lineup of speakers who will definitely get into this topic in much detail. As you all well know, with the pandemic and what's gone on, the hybrid mode of working from home have now become more mainstream. But are we as businesses geared towards empowering our employees and ourselves in thriving in this environment? And I'm sure we will learn and understand how certain companies are doing it and what are some of the key tips and tools to do it much better if you're not already doing it as well. So we have, as I mentioned, we have an interesting lineup of speakers. We will have the keynote delivered today by Mr. Supun Weerasinghe, who is a group CEO at Dialog, who will provide the keynote. We also have something exciting after that, which will see an announcement of an offer that will come in. I'll not speak too much about it, but keep you guys guessing what it'll be as we get into it. And then, of course, we have the guru of productivity, Dr. Nitin, who will come in and speak as well. And he will be providing us with a detailed description and insights on driving organizational efficiency as well. Dr. Nitin, if I just introduce him in brief, is widely recognized as the productivity guru, and he will be conducting the session soon after the keynote. He's a highly sought after speaker and famous for his witty, humorous, and motivational delivery style. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of that today, and you will be engaged throughout the program as well. He's a coach as well, coaching over 330,000 professionals across 18 countries and 3,100 customers over the last 2 decades. He's also been recognized by Microsoft as the most valuable professional title for the last 16 years. He's also a change management consultant with the Pro-C ADCAR methodology in place as well. You can refer his blog, which is efficiency365.com, which has over 1,200 plus articles about work efficiency enhancement. His motto, I'm sure he'll talk about that as well, which is work smarter and grow faster as well. The keynote, as I mentioned, will be delivered by Supun Weerasinghe, the group CEO, non-independent executive director, and member of the board of Dialog Axiata, and he has been in this position since January 2017. He commenced his career in telecommunications at Dialog Axiata in 1999 and held multiple roles such as head of strategy and CEO of the mobile business before appointed as the group COO of Dialog Axiata in 2010. In 2013, he was seconded to Axiata Group Berhad in Malaysia as its group chief strategy officer as well. At Axiata, he also served as the head of network transformation strategic business unit, under which he led the group technology, carrier collaboration, and the Axiata intelligence unit. From 2014 to October 2016, he functioned as the CEO and managing director of Robi Axiata Limited in Bangladesh, the second largest mobile provider in Bangladesh. He serves on several boards of the Axiata subsidiary and associated companies, as well as the UN Global Compact Network in Sri Lanka as well. He's a fellow member of CIMA UK and a BSc holder in accounting and financial management from the University of Sri Chavanapura. He also holds an MBA from the University of Western Sydney and is an alumnus of the Harvard Business School. So that's just a bit of an intro of our two speakers. So first we will have Supun Weerasinghe providing the keynote. Then, as I mentioned, we will have the bundle offer, which will be presented to you in the middle. And then we will have Dr. Nitin providing his detailed remarks as well. And then at the end, do stay on, as you can quiz Dr. Nitin and ask him questions through the chat box as well. Just as house rules, it'll be great if everyone is on mute. All the participants are on mute, the cameras are off, so that it doesn't disturb the flow of the proceedings. If you do have any questions, please put them as a chat box, and Dr. Nitin will ask those at the end of the session as well. So it's my pleasure to now warmly invite Supun to take over and provide his keynote remarks. Supun, over to you.
Thank you, Kiran. Good afternoon to all of you. It's indeed great to meet with you all virtually. I'll quickly take you through some of the key highlights and then pass on to Dr. Nitin. Samat, the next slide. So overall, I think we've been with the pandemic for the last 1.5 years, and I think every time there's a big crisis, what we see is that globally the changes that take place continue to remain, and those won't go away. So be it the 9/11 attack and then subsequent security strengthening, especially on air travel, or after World War II, women coming to work, joining the workforce. All these changes, either attitude or the way of working, will continue to remain. So it is important to recognize the change that we are going through now, recognize that it is not going to go away. It is something that we should use as opportunity, and then look at doing better, doing more, and working smarter, as Kiran said. Next slide. So overall, what we are seeing is that hybrid arrangements are here to stay. It is being demanded by employees because they want to have more flexibility, agility, and it is a practical way of working that being identified by the business leaders. I think since pandemic, most of us continue to work from home, continue to run the businesses, continue to function the economy, and prove that it can sustain and it can deliver results. We also moved away from the hypothesis that you need to stay at the workplace to deliver results, but virtually with the technologies and the platforms being available, you can deliver the same or more while working from home. However, there are certain limitations which I will discuss, and the need to be mindful and how do you adapt to make sure that the change that we are going to do on a hybrid model is sustainable. Next one. So what we see is that at work, office at working model, it is very transparent, it is very structured, and it promotes trust. And it also, I think, one of the biggest factors I see is that it helps to build the culture of the organization and a culture of teamwork, culture of cohesion, collaboration, because one future skill that has been identified by McKinsey is largely around collaboration, teamwork, cohesion. And this is more developed, harnessed when you are working together at office. And this can come under significant pressure when you are working remotely. Next one. But there are a lot of advantages. Next, if you can please. There are a lot of advantages. There are a lot of advantages when you are remote working. It improves productivity. I think even as an organization, we saw that we were able to do more products, roll out more services, expand the network while even working remotely. Employees are happier because they are able to have that flexibility, agility, and casual work environment. For the organization also, if you use it properly, it is a lot more cost efficient because you can give up a lot of office space and then your operating cost on admin can come down significantly in a remote working model. But the challenge is how do we blend the two and how do we make the hybrid environment equally or more productive than either. Next one. So the pandemic and the work from home model, McKinsey surveys show that it is effective in terms of driving productivity as well as engagement. It has in significant way improved productivity. It has also improved diversity and inclusion, especially for women to participate in the workforce and continue to serve in the organization. The remote working model has been really helpful. And it is also been appreciated for team productivity and employee engagement. So not only the earlier principles, but also proven by surveys and actual user feedback that this is something that is really important to recognize as a sustainable way of working. Next one. But I think we have to be mindful while we jumped into remote working, we need to be mindful of the technology and security concerns. As you allow staff to work from home, they may be either sharing laptops, they may be also the computer screen might not be private. So the data in the computer may be compromised. Then lack of visibility. The supervisor might not see the staff on a day in day out basis. So sometimes you might have that anxiety. Is my team working? Are they productive enough? Then this us versus them mentality, especially when you have partners working with you and then making sure that they are equally responsible for the outcome. There can be a mentality that gets created where the partner is not delivering or your vendor is not delivering while you are delivering in the organization. So this fault line getting created is one risk that we need to recognize, especially in the software and tech development in space. Next one. So few pointers on creating a successful hybrid environment. I'll touch a few and then we'll discuss more in detail at the panel. Next one. So one foremost aspect for a successful hybrid environment to creating that hybrid environment is the in the employee and also giving the autonomy. I think we have to recognize that when the country was closed or the world was closed, we without much of a choice, we allowed everyone to work from home. And employees didn't let us down. They continued to deliver and sometimes even better. So when the country is opened up, why do we not trust on that model? So how do we allow people to work from home and also get them down to office to bridge some of the gaps that I mentioned earlier in terms of teamwork, collaboration, brainstorming, innovation. But it is very important to place trust on the employee and give them autonomy, the previous one. If you can go back. The other aspect of the work from home is not just looking at employees and seeing how many people are occupying seats, but focus on outcomes. Not the quantum of work done, but quantum of results delivered, also helping to bridge employee learning and satisfaction. There can be a lot of challenges where employees get isolated, but need to be mindful and have programs where you manage and support the employees to deliver outcomes. Next one. In terms of creating that sustainable work environment, so that this can sustain and we can take advantage of the new environment. Looking after the employee work life and well-being is very, very important, because employees can burn out very fast in this new way of working. So one simple thing that we have done at Dialog is to have teams free Wednesdays. So today, say every Wednesday afternoon after 12:30, we don't have Teams meetings, and then we give more focused time for employees to work on their projects, work on areas that otherwise need that thinking time. So the Zoom fatigue that people call it can be a challenge. So giving this flexibility certainly helps in managing this challenge. Then investing on connectivity and security is very important. Connectivity that you have at enterprise, at office, you have robust connectivity, you have backup connectivity, but at home, you are using shared connectivity, public internet networks. So you might not have the same level of quality and experience that you would require at office. So you need to look at how do you understand the requirement and get that required connectivity improvements to have a sustainable environment. Next one. So just summarizing this entire piece on hybrid and how to make the most of it. Hybrid work environment is here to stay. Employees will start leaving if you force them to come to work, and especially the new generation, millennials, they wouldn't want to completely move away and then go back to the traditional way of working at office. And it is much more cheaper, it's effective. If we use key aspects to keep in mind is the security aspect is very important. Data protection, cyber security is really important. Then connectivity and having that reliable connectivity, backup platforms for connectivity as well as power. Productivity aspect, focusing on outcomes and not simply looking at the quantum of work, and giving that flexibility to staff, trusting them, and be caring. I think the care aspect, empathy aspect comes in a big way to make that hybrid working more sustainable. So with that, I will pass on to Amat to update on the next few slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Supun. I think let me continue with Supun's work from home scenario, and obviously things have changed and we are in a new normal. And we believe that the launch in this H1 Secure Productivity Bundle, which is based on the Microsoft latest security productivity suite called Microsoft 365 Business Premium product. What we did was to leverage this and give peace of mind to every company owner on running their business from anywhere securely. We added certain services. Let's say the first part is it's not the product alone. We also have the premium services supported, user adoption, admin training, premium support, etc. We also added a set of H1 apps, additional apps, which will support with the remote work like IT services, HR service, etc. And obviously supported with the data. Data is the key component when working from home. Connectivity plays a key component to look at that employee engagement. So the data bundle of 2 GB is bundled with this offer. So let me maybe do a slight deep dive into some of these services. First one is the most secure Microsoft product suite called Business Premium. It allows you to collaborate in real time. It has the world's best in world class email platform, uh, even a document cloud of 1 terabyte, and the Teams application. But you're just seeing these meetings on Teams. It allows all the meetings to be done virtually in a hybrid mode. And finally, have the most secure Windows upgrade path to Windows 11 Pro. So this allows companies to leverage the best of class productivity tools with the security in mind. So that's the offering what we are having, and this is supported with H1 Dialog comprehensive user adoption training, administrative training, and the premium support. The support is a key vital component whenever you have a security incident or do not know how to use a particular tool. We are there to help. This is supported by a ever-growing set of applications like if you want to digitally from home apply for a leave or do HR service desk or even like supporting like a maintenance activities, IT service desk. How do you handle petty cash while working remotely? Some of these apps will allow you to really enable work from anywhere. So finally there are three bundles being offered. First one is called H1 Secure Productive Premium. And the second one is the H1 Productivity Standard, which has the cloud services with the desktop application. And the third one is H1 Productivity Basic. All these three bundles are actually being launched today with the chamber, and any chamber company can leverage this. Please do get in touch with us via the chamber. We'll also share our contacts and would be happy to take you through a deep dive on some of these products. So with that, let me hand it over to the main highlight of today uh, to Dr. Nitin, who is our productivity guru. He will showcase the value of some of the tools as teams in this new hybrid world and also show you how to say security. Over to you, Dr. Nitin.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Samat and Supun and the entire team. It's a pleasure to be here addressing all of you. In the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to show you a lot of stuff. I'm not just going to show you a presentation. Let me share my screen first. I'm going to show you some demos as well. I want you to focus on the demos. So that's why I'm going to switch off my video for now. I will enable it again during Q&A. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Keep those questions coming on chat. So with that, let's get started. Now, what are we primarily trying to do? I know you are from different companies, different domain, different level or role in the organization, but there is one common factor everyone is wanting to do, which is growth. With or without COVID, whether market is good or bad, still underlying everyone wants to grow. Now, after you spend these 30-40 minutes with me, what are you going to get? The return on investment. First thing is, if you follow what I'm saying, you will probably save at least 15 minutes, if not more. I'll also help you reduce the eye strain. I'll explain what that means. Meetings, whichever tool you use, too many meetings are happening, but that doesn't necessarily mean work is being done efficiently. So how do you optimize meetings and improve teamwork inside and outside the organization so that we can execute all kinds of business initiatives effectively and in a secure manner? That's what we are going to cover today. Now, as you know, this is all being done using Microsoft tools. Many of us have been using those Microsoft tools for a long time, but we need to understand exactly what is the underlying thought process. The thought process is simple. We use these tools to get some output or outcome. The idea is we want to minimize our input. Our input basically is our effort we put to create a document or a spreadsheet or a budget or a form or a survey or whatever output. So input, output. So input is human effort. We want to minimize the human effort and maximize the output, maximize the quantity and or quality. If you do that properly, then efficiency grows. And this has to happen across all spheres of work, across all departments, across all levels of seniority, and so on. So when we talk about what people do, they do two types of work. One is called structured work, one is called unstructured. Structured means whatever is your domain. For example, if I'm giving some samples, HR does some work, finance does some work, they know what their work is. So that is the structured part of the work. But even if I know how to create a policy, in order to actually create the policy, I will need to get some data, talk to people, do meetings, do draft, multiple emails. That is the unstructured part of the work. So that's what I mean. The unstructured part of the work is where Microsoft platform is primarily used. And if you see the tools, there are lots of them. All these probably everyone knows. But when you say Office Business Premium, like you're saying, it's not just Word, Excel, PowerPoint. There are so many additional tools which are available, and that can become confusing. So the purpose of today's session is to give you the clarity as to why are there so many tools, first of all, and do I really need them? And if yes, which tool to use when? So although people are different, roles are different, domains are different, there are some common needs. For example, all of us are creating something all the time. Documents, spreadsheets, presentations, surveys, web pages. And then when we create something, you have to store it somewhere. So we need to know which tool to use when. Similarly, all of us are executing work on my own as well as with others. So communicate and collaborate. We also need to analyze data. And then while we are doing all this, IT is, yes, talking about automation, but users at large, business users are not programmers. They don't know what is automation, but they may notice that I'm doing something repetitive. Can I automate it without knowing programming? That would be a real empowerment. So that is another underlying need. So all these needs are being met with by the solution. So the same icons which I showed you earlier in random order now are fitting into the right place. We may not have time to go through all of them, but I will definitely give you an overview. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, we don't have to really talk about. We already know what they do. OneNote is another very common, very powerful tool, but commonly not used. So I'll give you one scenario. I'm sure you do a lot of meetings. I'm sure you capture notes somewhere. Where do you capture notes? Well, personal preference, mobile, laptop, or paper. Problem is, in either case, can you find the notes after 6 months? That's a problem. So in spite of putting effort, we are not getting access to the notes easily afterwards. So we need a method of linking notes to meetings, and that's what OneNote gives you. So in OneNote, basically it's an electronic notebook. You create topics and pages. Now, once you have created notebooks, what do? I am about to join a meeting and take notes. Where do I take those notes? So go to the calendar, right click and choose meeting notes. Take your own notes, choose the notebook, and then it'll create a page in OneNote and link that page to the meeting. So you just take notes, save, close the page. There is no save also, it's auto save. And then next time when you want the notes, you don't have to go to OneNote and search. Go to calendar, right click on the meeting and say notes. It will find that page for you. That's how you link notes to meetings. Simple and effective. OneNote, most probably all of you have, but nobody told us how to use it effectively. So now what happens if I'm not using laptop, I'm using mobile? No problem. On mobile also there is OneNote. Once you take notes on mobile, they will sync with your desktop and retrospectively you can link it to a meeting. Third step is suppose you are taking notes on paper. Then what happens? No technology, no problem. Take notes on paper. After the meeting is over, go to OneNote mobile app, take a photo of those pages, let them sync with desktop and then link it to the meeting. So in either case, now we know how to link notes to meetings. Simple and effective. That's what I mean. Just having tools is one thing, but now telling everyone in the organization the standard operating procedure for taking notes is this. That will transform efficiency. So first step, buy the tools. Second step, create awareness. Third step, standardize the usage. That way you get maximum efficiency improvement and maximum return on investment. Sway is just a very quick way of creating web pages without programming. Forms is something which I'm sure all of you use. This is Microsoft Forms. It is like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey, but the difference is like a form, you can create a survey or a quiz template. But unlike other forms, this form is not sitting in isolation. It integrates with everything else. And we will see how that is done later. Another very common thing, I'm sure many of you use various tools to document processes, create workflow charts and process diagrams and stuff like that, which we usually do using what? Usually do using PowerPoint shapes, and that's painful. Visio is a very sophisticated tool which is now available inside Office 365, a light version of it at no extra cost. So you can actually create beautiful block diagrams, flow charts, matrix diagrams, Venn diagrams, cycle diagrams, and so on. Much better than what you can do in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And it's also a part of the system. So you're not paying extra for it. Less effort, more impact. That's what I mean. So if you have not explored Visio, please do so. The next one is whiteboard. We will see that during meetings, but remember, pre-COVID, we had physical conference room. Every conference room has some kind of whiteboard. We use it very actively, but online we don't use whiteboard so much. So now that is available. It has always been available, but it is a really powerful tool which is quite underutilized. I will explain how to do that a little later. Now, where to store files? Very important question, because let's see how we work and then come back to files. What happens is we want to work efficiently. That's a good thing. But exactly what does work mean? That is the next question. So let me define work and then see each type of work. How do we do more effectively? Two types of work: my work and teamwork. We are talking corporate context. I'm not talking personal work, corporate work. Now, some work I execute myself, obviously. That's my job description that I have to do myself. Some of it I get it done from someone else. Now, both these we are doing for decades, nothing new I'm talking about. Similarly, when it comes to teamwork, I am going to do some job, but I cannot do it alone. I need inputs from someone. This is different than delegation. Delegation means I'm not doing anything, I'm getting it done from someone. Whereas here, I am also doing something and others are contributing to it. That's one kind of teamwork. Second kind of teamwork is it's not one task. There are multiple related tasks and a group of people are working towards it. So let's see one by one how each one of them is done. All of us know what is my work to do. Every day you come and say, whether you're at home, factory, office, you know what work to do. There must be a list, but where is that list? That is the problem. There's no standard place for the list. So what do? We put the list wherever we feel like, and then it gets scattered. And because it is in multiple places, you can't manage it properly. So that's a problem. Having a list is good, but not being able to manage is a problem. So we must create a list of pending work in the best possible place, which helps me monitor them well. And that place is called the task folder in Outlook. So go to the task folder in Outlook, not to-do list, task folder. And then two methods of adding a task. A quick method, just type the task and put the date, done. Or if you are delegating work, what happens when you're delegating work today? We send a mail and then we forget. That other person also forgets, delays happen. I don't want that to happen. So if I want to delegate using task, I use this one, new task, and then I add the work, add the deadline, and then click on assign task and send it as a task rather than as a mail. So what happens when that person marks it as complete? You will be notified. But suppose that person doesn't do anything about it. Then what happens? You will forget? No. Now you will not forget because now there is a copy of that task in your task list. So now what is going to happen? Suddenly you have a single place to go to look at your pending work. Very good. My work, delegated work, both are visible here. Look at the icon. And then the next step is to find time to do the work, because having a list is good, but to execute work, we need time, and time can be blocked only in calendar. So open calendar, open the task folder in another window, scan through the tasks, the time consuming ones at least, or the important or strategic tasks, drag and drop well in advance so that you have blocked time proactively and increase the chance of finishing that work. That's how now suddenly that task folder has become very important in my life. So when I say I go to manage email now, apart from going to calendar and inbox, also go to task folder. In fact, this is more important than the other two. And of course, I want to see it on mobile. So there is a special app for that. To Do app. This is a Microsoft app. You get it as a part of Business Premium, no extra cost. You can install it on up to 5 mobile phones if you want, and the task will sync from Outlook here. You can add tasks and they will sync back to Outlook as well. So that's how now my work can be managed better. Now let's come back and see how do you manage teamwork. Teamwork, again, it could be one piece of work where I have to get inputs from others. For example, I'm creating a budget for next quarter. I am a finance person, I know how to do it. But although it is one line here, in reality, that is going to require multiple activities for me. So maybe I get inputs from others. I call some people, I chat with some people, I do calls, I send emails, get some data. Once I get the data, I get some copy paste it, make a early draft and send it to boss. Boss gives me some inputs, then couple of rounds like that. Then it is ready. Then I call a meeting with all the stakeholders, more inputs, couple of rounds, and then after 23 activities, it is done. Does that sound familiar? It was one sentence to start with, but it translated into 20 different activities using 7 different apps. Does that sound efficient? Absolutely not. Does the entire world working like this? Yes. So let the world work like this. Can we make this more efficient? Am I saying eliminate phone calls? No. Am I saying eliminate? Can we do without any of these? No. The problem is not that. The problem is each one of them different app, and we are shuttling from this app to that app, reducing concentration. So Microsoft said, yes, we will do all this, but let's do this using one app. That's why they created Teams. Many users, many of you must be using Teams, but you don't know the real power of Teams beyond chat and calls, which I'm sure you're already doing. So now whatever unstructured work I described, that also can be structured, because what was I broadly doing? I was communicating with people, and then I had two methods. Not urgent, I will send a mail and ask for a clarification. If it is urgent, I'll do chat. Fine. But when it comes to files, again, there is another confusion and inefficiency which creeps in, because the moment you say files and multiple people involved, we are talking about copies of files. So I create a file, send it to multiple people, hoping that they will give me some inputs. They may give me inputs, but how did I send it to them? If it was not urgent, email attachment. If it was urgent, group chat. In either case, 5 copies now. They write it. Now I have to make a combined version, copy, paste, waste of time, inaccurate, potentially error prone process. Is this final? May not be. One more round, another round, and it goes on and on and on. And obviously this is inefficient. We do call it teamwork, but actually it's not. So do we really want to be inefficient consciously? Absolutely not. Nobody wants to be. We just happen to be that way and got used to it. Why? Because there doesn't seem to be a better way. So let's find the root cause. Whenever there is a problem in business, what do we do? Root cause analysis. Then what is the root cause here? Copies is not the root cause. Copies are the effect of the root cause, where we are sending files to people, creating copies. So why send files and complicate matters? Keep the file in one place, let people come to the file. That is more logically correct, less effort, and also more safe, because the file is not going anywhere. So that is the idea. Each person needs one place to store all their files in such a way that you don't need to make a copy. And that place is OneDrive in the context of the package we are talking about, Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So everyone gets 1 TB of space, 1000 GB. Why is it called OneDrive? Because when you store a file there, how many people can see it? One, which is you, not IT, not anybody from Microsoft. By the way, many people are worried about putting their data on cloud, whether it is Microsoft or non-Microsoft, that's a separate issue. Cloud seems to be dangerous. Potentially, yes, but remember, why are you worried about data? Because data is an asset as well as a liability. If the data is used properly, it's an asset. If it is leaked or stolen or sold to competitor, that's a liability. So obviously you're worried about your data. If your customer data leaks and misused, there is a fine also. 4% of turnover is typically the global standard. That is a lot of money, a lot of legal liability. So remember, This is your legal liability. But if you put your data on Microsoft platform, you are Microsoft's customer. So exactly the same rules, regulations apply to Microsoft as well. In fact, Microsoft has millions of customers of data. So their liability is much higher. The amount of regulations they follow are much, much more than what you as a single organization has to follow. They have to follow all the global standards and norms, plus US government because they are headquartered there, plus industry specific standards. Now each industry has their own standards. This is for healthcare. This is for healthcare. Another is for finance. But Microsoft has data from all kinds of customers, so they follow all these standards. You as a company would follow your industry standards. Similarly, regional standards, they also have to be followed by Microsoft because they are present across all geographies. So what I'm saying is, yes, your concern is correct. But when you put data on Microsoft, you're getting a superset of security and compliance. That itself is a benefit. So without you having to understand so many regulations, implicitly you're getting the benefit of these regulations. How do you know compliance, by the way? I'm sure many of your industries have compliance guidelines, but compliance guidelines are what? They are some long, complex legal documents which need to be translated into real actionable items. Now, Microsoft makes that also simple for you. Once you have Microsoft platform, you will get a score, compliance score, security score, and productivity score. If you already have Office 365, go and check that score. It's not just a random number. It explains how this number was evolved and it tells you how to improve. So without having to hire a consultant and paying them for improving security or compliance, you are actually getting actionable information out of the box with no extra payment to Microsoft. It's part of the system. So this is very important. If you have not done it, do it immediately as soon as this session is over. And not only should you monitor these, you should drive your teams to increase this number. What does this icon indicate? Companies with similar number of users worldwide, what is their average? So you can also benchmark yourself amongst your peers. So very, very useful stuff. Now coming back to our file storage related problem. What was the issue? We were creating copies, but now I said store it on OneDrive. So what happens now? When you store the files on OneDrive, what happens? Well, just by storing files on OneDrive, you get so many benefits. This is a busy slide, so I'm going to pause for a few seconds, read it. And if you have questions, put them on chat. Are there any pending questions on chat session?
No, we don't have any questions as of now.
All right. So all these benefits are not known to people. That's why they don't use OneDrive. If you say that by just storing on OneDrive, what is the extra effort you're taking? Nothing. In fact, you should actually create a standard operating procedure within the organization which says storing a file just on the local PC should never be done. It's a bad thing. You should always use this. You're not losing anything. You will still have the file locally available. You can still edit it offline. But in addition to that, you are getting so many benefits. That's why OneDrive is a better way of doing it. Not only that, when you want to share this file with someone for inputs, what are you going to do? You are just going to go to the file and actually share it with people instead of sending it by email and making a copy of it. So how do I do that? I have a file. This is already stored and I share. Click on share, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, same method. I say specific people. And for the first time in life now, I am in control. Remember, if you don't do this, you are sending a copy of the file. Once you send an attachment outside, you lose control. You will never know what people did with your file. Now you are in control and the file is not going anywhere. You control whether to allow editing, whether to allow download, and if you want to allow, whom do you want to allow by specifically putting their names or email addresses. And this is equally important that we should also have external parties involved because all the time as a part of business, we have external vendors involved. So don't block this. This is a good thing. The vendor does not get the file. They will have to go to browser, open browser. They don't need Microsoft license. They can just use browser and internet to edit the file. File is still one copy. So it's safer. In fact, the external vendor will have to add their email ID and get an extra OTP. So another extra layer of security there. Idea is whatever number of people are editing, the file is one and all their changes will merge. Whether they edit at the same time, different times, doesn't matter. That's the benefit. And where did we get this benefit? When instead of sending attachments, we started sending what? We started sending links. Very good. But what happens now is this was the email benefit. What about chat? Good question. Because if it is an urgent requirement, what would I do? I would do chat because I can't wait for someone to receive a mail and then come back and do something about it. So if I go to chat, what happens? There are hundreds of chat applications available. So this is Teams chat. This is the user assistant, and there are three other people in the chat. And I want immediate input, so I have added a file here, hoping that people will give me inputs faster than email. Very good. But now the question is there are four people. All of them are going to open the file. How many copies now? Now in any other chat software, the answer would be 4 copies. So in this, there are so many apps where you can do chat. In all these apps, there would be 4 copies. But in Teams, even if there are 20 people and all of them open the file, the answer is 1. Why? Because when you upload a file in Teams chat, it automatically goes to the OneDrive of this person because this person is uploading it. And the remaining people in the chat are automatically given edit permissions. So all the benefits of OneDrive, which we just saw, are automatically available to you as a part of this. So that is how every aspect of teamwork is improving. Now you also do a lot of meetings. That is another part of teamwork. How do we do those meetings? Well, we know how to do meetings. Either it's an ad hoc meeting or a planned meeting. Fine. Now, how does a meeting start? You start a meeting and end a meeting. Agreed. But when it comes to Teams, there is something confusing or weird going on because you may have noticed. In case you have not noticed, notice it after this session. When you go to Teams chat, what is happening? In any chat software, Teams or any other chat software, what do you expect? You expect names of people whom you are chatting with, and you can also create chat groups. Teams gives you both, but it gives you one more thing. When you attend a Teams meeting and you finish the meeting, the chat shows that meeting. So that meeting suddenly lands up as chat, and that can become confusing or irritating. So why is this happening? Just take a step back and understand. As I showed you earlier, there are hundreds of different ways of creating audio video calls and meetings. So in all these applications, there is a start meeting or start call button, and there is an end meeting or end call button. People join, discuss, finish. End call means end. OK, meeting finished. Yes, technically the meeting finished, but practically nothing to be done after the meeting. Then probably why did you do the meeting in the first place if there was no follow-up required? Useless meeting? No, there are no useless meeting. The problem is all these applications said, I am a meeting software. I finish the meeting. My job is done. But our job is not done as a user. So where do we do all this? We go to email and send reply to all, flooding each other's inboxes. Again, inefficient. So that's why team said, yes, meeting is over, but you want to collaborate on all this. That's why I'm putting that meeting in chat. So during, before, after, everything happens in Teams. So now what are we saying? You should encourage people to notice that thing where the meeting lands up in chat afterwards and encourage people not to send reply to all to follow up. Do that follow up here in a contextual manner. Why? Because the meeting chat is available, file collaterals are available, meeting notes are available. If you used a whiteboard, even that whiteboard is still alive and people can collaborate. And you can add any other app if you want as a part of meeting follow. Less effort, more impact. And the same concept applies to more complex work, because I said other type of work is not just one piece of work being done by multiple people. It's multiple related tasks being done by multiple people. What does that mean? That means we are talking about sort of a project where we have a project. We form a team, which is multiple departments. We create a task list and we have a deadline. Some of them may be internal, many times external agencies also involved. Now these people have to work cohesively together. I need to tell people what I did every day. I send a mail with 14 people in CC. Everyone is doing that. Now what is going to happen? 14 mails, 14 CCs, 3 months, 18 working days. It's a flood of email coming for that project. And this is only one project, by the way. Most of us will be a part of multiple projects plus regular email. What is happening? We are just drowning in email. Does that sound efficient? No. Does that sound familiar? Yes. What is our process? Notice inefficiency, find the root cause and solve the problem. What is the root cause? Inbox is not a problem. Projects are not a problem. The problem is inbox, which is always one, is being used to manage projects, which are always more than one. That part is inefficient. So what is the conclusion? Stop using inbox for managing projects. Then what to do? We still have to manage projects. Yes. So for every project, create a separate place so that there is no mix up and that place cannot be inbox. Then what is that place? That place is Teams. So when I say Teams, don't create a group chat. Chat by design is for short-term work. Although the chat history is there, we can't really, nobody wants to scroll 6 months back and see who said what. Chat is short-term context, ad hoc context, whereas project is long-term context. So don't go to chat, go to Teams and create a team. You can create a blank team or you can use many of the nice templates which Microsoft gives you. There are common templates available. Check if your templates relevant to you are available. Otherwise, you can create a team from scratch and customize it. So bottom line, for every project now, I've stopped using email and started using Teams. So now how does it look before after? Look at this. If I was not using Teams, I'm a part of 4 projects. I go to this dumping ground called inbox, search on the name. I get another mini dumping ground called search results. Am I clear what is happening? No. So more effort, less impact. Compare that with Teams. You started using Teams, stopped using email for that. You go to Teams, all the projects are already separate, no search required. You don't have to click on every project, only the unread project. See what has happened, done. Less effort, more impact. So that is called structure. And within the team also you get structure. How? So these are different teams I am a part of. So when I go to a team, for example, procurement, each RFP is a separate channel, so they don't mix up with each other. So within the team also we create channels. How many channels to create? Entirely up to you. Now within each channel, what do you get? You get a place to discuss, debate, clarify things which you would otherwise do on email. So I want to ask a question. This is like sending a CC to 14 people. They will reply here. So this is like chat, but it is not chat because each of them has a reply button. And when I give a reply here, that reply does not interfere with what this is. So I say this is I9 and 32 GB. This discussion thread is independent of this. So structured work is done here. Unstructured work is done in chat. Even though there is a reply button here, it all gets mixed up in chat. In addition to that, of course, this requires files for teamwork. So files can be added or created here. Once I add a file here, all team members automatically have access. So if it's a file I created for myself, I put it on OneDrive. If I created a file for a project, I put it in Teams. Simple and effective. Now, what else do we need in a project? As I told you, we have a project plan. Plan means what? A task list. My tasks are in Outlook, but I don't want project tasks to be in my Outlook. So I add a shared task list here. Click on the plus sign. This is the shared task list. And what does that do? It allows me to create a shared task list for the team members for that project so that everyone can see what is happening and what is the status. How do I see the status? Well, you add it as action items. This is the task. These are the action items. Deadline. You can assign it to team members. Everyone has live visibility on mobile, desktop, tablet, browser, doesn't matter. So unwanted review meetings are gone. No need. Just go to group by progress. Not started, in progress, completed. This is your live Kanban view. You can also get a graphical view. In fact, if you go to Teams, because you'll be a part of multiple projects, I want to know my tasks across projects. Fine. So it will give me a single list of all my tasks across projects in just 2 clicks without any searching, without any copy paste. And all of this I can see on the same to-do app. Remember to-do app, my tasks coming from Outlook, project tasks coming from Teams, all together in a seamless manner. Now we are talking efficiency. So that's how this whole thing falls into place, and every aspect of work suddenly improves beyond our imagination. In the process, our effort is less and the impact is more. What does that mean? You're going to get some extra time, which is the bonus. And that time you invest into value adding activities, and that will give you additional driving of growth. Now, how do we do that? For example, we do analysis of data all the time. Yes. Now, what exactly is analysis? Well, very quickly, what does analysis mean? Analysis can mean many things to many people, but broadly, I have raw data, which just by looking at it, I don't understand. How many reports will I create? That depends on who is asking. Whatever boss asks, regulator asks, government asks, we give the report. Agreed. But let's take a step back. What am I trying to do when I'm analyzing? I'm learning useful things. Yes. From what? Data which is historical, past, and then use that knowledge to try and improve the future in my favor. That's the whole idea. Good idea. But then how many useful things do I want to learn? How many reports am I creating? Whatever, 4, 6, 12. We are stopping at some reports. That's not good. Ideally, we should be greedy. What if there is 13, 14, 17 equally useful thing and I never looked at it? That's a loss of opportunity. If I look at it, that's a competitive advantage and a growth driver. So ideally, we should learn all possible useful things. Now, it's easy to see or say this, but how do you actually do it? That is also implemented by Microsoft. This looks like a good thought, but it's difficult to achieve. I'm not having an unlimited amount of time to go and drag, drop and create hundreds of manual reports. No problem. So I'll show you how that happens. So let's say this is raw data. I have 800 rows of data. I want to learn all possible things. What do? I don't even create a report. I just click on this button called Analyze Data, and then it uses AI to analyze the data and gives me reports out of the box. How does it know which reports? By the way, it created 36 reports. Nobody in the world would have asked for 36 reports from 7 columns. So it statistically correlates each column with each other column and gives you potentially useful or statistically significant information. Now, some of the reports you may know, but some of them may be interesting and they may give you some ideas which will help you enhance your business in some way or the other. That is called empowerment. Another very useful feature, which is a part of Power BI, actually, you can ask questions. So here on top, I can actually ask questions saying these are the columns I have. OK, I want to see top 3 city. Notice what I'm typing. I'm typing the sentence top 3 city by average amount. Yes, I know how to create a pivot table, but without doing that, I got this. That is called empowerment. This is where AI is being used behind the scenes. And that's how analytics can also improve significantly by using these tools, which are all out of the box. Now coming to automation, and then I'll finish. All this is good, but the problem is whenever I do something, I need to work across. I'm sure you have created things like Outlook rules. So when a mail comes from someone, put it in that folder. That's called automation. So let's say I've asked for some RFP and 20 vendors are going to reply, and the quotations I want to save in a folder so that my team can evaluate all the RFP responses. Now that 20 mails are going to come to my mailbox, and then I have to manually detach. That's manual work. Now I want to automate it. So I use this tool, which is also a part of the system. You ask Power Automate to monitor your inbox and say, when this RFP ID comes with an attachment, you detach the attachment and put it in my Teams. This can be done without programming in 2 minutes. So any kind of automation where there is a trigger means mail coming in, an action, detach the file and put it in Teams. Like that, any set of trigger and actions can be automated without programming from here. So bottom line, all these tools are designed to integrate with each other. If you have retail or frontline workers who are working on shifts, how do you manage shifts today? Someone creates a format empty in Excel or Word and manually scribble. Now within Teams, we have a nice shift software which works on mobile as well. And people can actually manage their shifts beautifully on Teams. You have check-in, check-out, and time management. That also can happen with GPS coordinates using shifts. So what I'm asking you to do is look at this as a cohesive platform, evaluate it fully, and then you will get maximum return on investment and phenomenal, unimaginable improvement in efficiency. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and let's take questions. Thank you. If any of you have any comments just from Microsoft, from Dialog, please add. If I have missed something, please let me know. Or if you have any questions, please put them on chat.
Dr. Nitin, Shiran here. I don't think we have any questions at this point, but we'll keep it open for any questions as it comes in.
Sure.
In terms of, I think if I was to just put a question to you, Dr. Nitin, you're seeing, I think you nicely put it in terms of the create related apps, the store related apps, the collaborate, analyze, and such a thing. For an organization that is primarily, say, very much an email focused organization, trying to adopt to this hybrid environment, what method would you kind of recommend them to go? Because it's a lot of tools, but maybe where can they start off initially, and how can that journey kind of evolve? And in terms of adoption as well, I'm sorry, a lot of questions in one, but I think you can tackle it in one shot. But in that journey, who should really be driving these tools really to be adopted, so that it's not only a particular team or an individual that's using it, but you really see the benefits across the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me explain that. Let me share my screen. So generally, what happens is when you are trying to incorporate a new technology, we do typical training or e-learning or online courses, all that. Okay, but there are too many tools here and too many behavioral changes also. It's not just using a tool. We have been ingrained into inefficiency, whether we like it or not, for decades. That's not going to go away overnight. So we need proper change management kind of thing. Now, of course, in terms of change management, there are many methods. I won't go into those, but I'll give you something practical 4-step process. So first thing is, who should understand the potential of using this platform fully? Of course, everyone should, but who is the biggest beneficiary? The top management. So this has to be first known at top management level. And I'm assuming a lot of senior people are attending today's session. So that part is already started. So it has to be led by the senior management or leadership team. This is not an IT initiative. This is not an HR or learning and development initiative. It's a business initiative which has to be led by business people, because the impact is on business. It's not improving HR or IT. It's improving every aspect of business. So once leaders know the potential, obviously they will be willing, more than willing, to drive it across the organization. The second step is, okay, few people know the benefits, fine. But this is collaboration. Collaboration happens across the organization. Do you do a training, few people attend, others don't attend. Those who don't attend don't know what they're missing. So again, we are leaving it to chance. So if you have procured the software for everyone, the training also has to happen for everyone. Otherwise, people who don't know, don't know. They don't know that they are inefficient. They are inefficient. They are happily inefficient. We want to make them unhappy by showing them a eminently better way. Once you know there is a better way, consciously nobody wants to be inefficient. So that training for everyone is important. And now with Teams, it is very easy. Like this webinar, what is the capacity? 1,000 people can attend. If you create a live event on Teams, what is the capacity? 10,000 people. So whatever is the size of your organization, we can easily cover all stuff. Maybe not one session, 5 sessions, doesn't matter, but cover everyone. Now everyone is aware, but just awareness doesn't mean change. So that's where standard operating procedures come into picture. So I said many times, when to take notes, how to take notes is not personal preference. Where to store your task list, not personal preference. So top management sends a mail, one SOP every day to everyone saying, from now onwards, let's standardize this aspect of business. Like that, you are learning features, applying it to business context, finding the best possible way, converting it to a standardized best practice, and disseminating it across the organization. That's how you take long-term benefit. And who will do this mapping? Find a group of people internally. Each person in leadership nominates a couple of people. They proactively learn the platform, map it to business, suggest SOPs, and the leadership disseminates the SOPs. That's how it's a vicious cycle getting converted to a virtuous cycle now. That's how you do adoption.
Great, great insights, Dr. Nitin. I think that was a question also along those similar lines. There's also another question asking, were some of these tools developed after COVID-19, or was it tools that were already there within the overall 365 domain, but now it's really getting highlighted more?
Yeah, nothing has been developed specifically for COVID. We have been inefficient for 30 years. COVID just makes us sit up and take notice, but even without COVID, it's not that the world was efficient. So take this COVID as a discontinuity and an opportunity, because anyway, so many things are shaking up. Use that discontinuity to your advantage to empower people. That's the idea.
And are you noticing any particular tools being used more often than the other? I know Teams has obviously been adopted much more, but in this
Absolutely.
integration, any particular tools which you feel have shown higher levels of productivity and efficiency for organizations?
So Teams for sure, but within Teams also, as I said, more of chat and calls. When it comes to other aspects of team in terms of structured teamwork, not so much, because awareness is not there. Now, another issue is, I said, use Teams for projects. Now, many people will say every person is not a part of a formal, large, complex project. Then I don't use Teams. No, there are many common scenarios which are amenable to use Teams. So what is the generic principle of using Teams? Anything reviews. Everyone is undergoing some review or the other, right? Or there are shared task lists being created, or common data entry, departmental shares, recurring meetings. All these are use cases where Teams should be used. So what is the general principle of expanding use of Teams is whenever same people are involved on a long-term basis in a common objective where a lot of discussion, files, action items, and meetings are involved, don't do it on email, do it on Teams. There's a generic thought process which you can apply to so many different use cases in every industry. That will expand the usage of Teams.
Great.
If you ask which product should get more of visibility, which is lying there, nobody's even noticing it, is this. So if I show you all the tools which are available, what do we have? There are lots of tools available, but are people using all the tools? No. So this is a tool which is an alternative to Excel. All of us use Excel every day. I'm not saying don't use it. It's a great tool, but it's not a great tool for data entry. But we use Excel for data entry. We create a format in Excel, mail it to random people, and ask them to send me data. Then I get multiple files, I copy paste. It is error prone, manual effort, inefficient in every way you can think of. Instead of that, create a list. This is out of the box, no extra cost. Create a column, create multiple columns. Look at the kind of columns you can create. None of these are available in Excel. You can have validations. You can have all kinds of security there. Once the columns are ready, you share it with people. Then you can control it in such a way that each person can see only their own data, but it's automatically centralized. So you will see all the data. People will see only their own data. with full versioning, with compliance. And when it is ready, you can just say export to Excel and create a live report. So Excel is still being used for analytics, but it is not being misused for data entry. So if you have not used lists, that is the first thing you should start using.
Great. It's good to know that there are tools like lists as well. There's a question in terms of what is the correct name for To-Do app and can it synchronize with Outlook and Calendar?
Yes, the To-Do app is called To-Do. Let me show you the icons so that you don't get confused. So To-Do. So if you go to all apps, explore all your apps, you will see in Office 365, you will see all the apps. One of them is To-Do. How do you install it on mobile? So depending on whether you have Android or iOS. For example, if you go to Google Play, there are lots of task apps. So make sure it is Microsoft and this is the logo. Same thing on iOS as well. This will integrate with my Outlook task list. And it also integrates with Planner, means the shared task list in Teams.
There is one more question. Are there any online resources available for organizations to access, like course material or general training, adoption material for employers and employees?
Yes, absolutely. You go to in fact, you can install training on top of Office 365 itself, and I'm sure H1 and team can help you install that. There are ready to use not only training materials, but there are also videos, hands-on labs, and various things which can be installed as a part of your tenant itself. And while we are at it, also look at the productivity score. It tells you how people in your organization are working. For example, if I go to teamwork, or content collaboration, it gives me a breakdown. Notice what is happening here. Are people sharing files by email or are they attaching links? That's what I told you. This is inefficient. This is efficient. So if most people are not doing links and doing this, that's an opportunity for education. Now, where is the content? Oh, just click here, view related content, and you get the videos, copy the link, send it to people. It's all there.
Another question, how does the use cases for list differ from forms?
So lists and forms basically both have columns. But what happens in lists is, of course, I create columns. And when I say new item here, it does look like a form. But generally, when we are doing data entry, the way we capture data in Excel, we are not capturing one row from person. We are capturing multiple rows from person. So a form view is better for a survey where one person supplies one set of rows. Whereas in Excel kind of scenario, we want a grid. So in lists, you have a grid view, which is not there in forms. Forms is one entry at a time, whereas list can be, and generally people will use the grid view. This is like Excel, it is familiar. You can even copy paste from Excel here, so it's more convenient. So form is one entry at a time, list is generally multiple entries at a time. And both of them can be integrated with Power Apps and Power Automate. So if you want something to happen automatically when a new entry gets added, for example, an approval process, that can be invoked from Power Automate. So you're automating, not just capturing data. Any other questions or comments? It need not
Not
be
sure if
questions.
not sure if he answered this one. What are the best tools to get started with for an organization that are just familiar with Outlook?
Yeah, so I hope you have attended this session and you find it useful. Assuming you're going to get the recording to this, show this recording to everyone in your company and then form a team of champions and proactively explore, find the relevant features, map them to your business context because that is unique to you, and then convert them to SOPs and disseminate them. I already showed the process.
Great. I think that's the questions for Dr.
And
Nitin at this
yeah,
point.
just one last thing. You should also go to adoption.microsoft.com. There you can just say start my journey. You can go to products and you will see Microsoft 365 there. And there you have different roles. And for each role, you can actually see a lot of training and content and material. Adoption.microsoft.com. Great.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin, for your remarks, for your insights, for taking on several of the questions that came in. I'm sure there is quite a lot more. Maybe we might receive it and we'll definitely pass it on for your insights. Before we kind of close, maybe if I can just get Supun to kind of, I think, where you left off in terms of you're talking about dialogue and how you kind of adopted as well. In terms of the telco industry and given that it's really part of how we are connecting and making the hybrid work possible, why do you think hybrid work is crucial to be considered upon and invested upon at every organization? And maybe how can these hybrid models be adopted more, because we're seeing also with the opening up of the economy after the third wave and the fourth wave, we've almost gone back to almost a system of normal, and we're not really adopting what we got used to as well. Maybe you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, I think this way of working is now going to be existential, and there is no way that you can survive as organization, deliver the efficiencies that are required, the productivity, and also keep employees happy if you don't adopt hybrid. So it's simply a no-go, and more so for tech companies. So it's really important, and I think we saw Dr. Nitin sharing the power of all the tools that the Microsoft is offering that we can make use of. I think most of us didn't know there was a platform called Teams until COVID happened. And then actually that was there even before COVID, but really saved the day for everyone without really having to spend on another application for collaboration, because it was part of the enterprise suite, and we could make use of it to do the collaborations. I think also Sri Lankan consumers are quite fortunate because all telcos have bundled Microsoft and created this special work learn packs. The video meet packs have Microsoft even for, I think, about 500 rupees unlimited. For 150 rupees, it gives 25 GB, even I think cheaper than India when you look at pricing. In Sri Lanka, just recently came the third lowest in terms of data in the data prices in the world. So because what Dr. Nitin mentioned, most of it happens in the cloud. And there can be a big worry that when you're moving data to the cloud, you have to pay a heavy price for data. And even these collaboration sessions, video calls that you do, hours and hours, all are bundled into special packs, which are done in partnership with Microsoft, because without Microsoft support, we can't get the IPs and do this kind of pricing plans in the industry. So I think what I'm seeing is that these tools are now providing you to be more productive, make use of them. I think I totally concur with Dr. Nitin. This has to be led by business leaders. A good case in point is OneDrive. When we adopted OneDrive, it wasn't led by IT, it was led by the business, because it simply enables collaboration, it simply improves the data security, and it's much easier. Then you don't need to have heavy laptops or heavy machines with so much of storage. Everything is on the cloud, and even if something happens to the hard drive, you have everything available on OneDrive. So I think it is existential again, and the new generation employees will not come to those employers who are not adopting hybrid ways of working. And hybrid doesn't mean that you are trying to do the way of working similar to you do at office. You have to make use of the tools. You have to make use of these new platforms. if we are to be effective. Otherwise, we will compromise collaboration, we will compromise team working, and we will compromise on creativity. The impact that you will have on creativity and innovation will not be seen immediately. It will be seen over a period of time. So it's really important to make use of these tools to minimize the downside effects of hybrid and really drive productivity in the organization. Once again, thank you for having me. Again, look forward to with the H1 team helping our business leaders to take this forward.
Thanks, Supun. So on that note, we'll bring a close to this session, but it's not the end of this learning sort of webinars that we hope to collaborate with Microsoft H1 going forward. In the next few months, we'll roll out similar programs which will up your productivity and up your knowledge and the skills, in particular in managing in this hybrid environment. So thank you to everyone who has joined in. I hope it was of value. We'll definitely circulate the recording, and as Dr. Nitin mentioned, please circulate these even within your organizations, because that will be of use and it'll be start of the journeys as well. So thank you to Dr. Nitin, to Supun, and to Samat for being the key resources for today's webinar, and to everyone else, thank you for tuning in, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.